recent cases have appeared next to the Ukraine supporting that it's not just random. It might still be rare, but it's not just random. Now, that can be concerning. That's something I think we really should say. So here's what I'm recommending people to do. Number one, wipe all memory of the original start of H1N1 and treat this like a new outbreak. If you have to program your brain, don't call it H1N1. Call it something new. And like Tobias said, yeah, that's what we should do. Also, reset your H1N1 meter to 0. When it broke out in Mexico, you know what happened. It spread here, and then it spread there, and it spread here, and it took a while. It took months. When was it? Well, it was like April.
That's right, yeah.
And then summer hit, and then fall hit. Now it's winter, and it's dying off, right? Mm-hmm. It took a few months, and it was very contagious. Maybe not, a deadly pandemic that was, 3% of the people were dying that got it, or we'd already have millions and millions dead. The point is that that's a different situation. That did not have these domain changes that we're seeing. We don't have very many of these yet, but there was, quote, the first case of swine flu H1N1 too, right?
Right.
I mean, first it was 1, then it was 10, then it was, now everybody goes, no, that's because they released umpteen jillion people at once. Well, maybe they did. But I'm not saying that this has been a natural mutation and that this pleomorphic change that we're experiencing, that they think, the people that I'm reading this research from, they're assuming this changed H1N1, which is deadly, was naturally occurring. I'm not convinced of that. I am certainly, there's evidence, even they recognize that, even if it was naturally occurring, it is not hitting people randomly now. So it has the potential to spread. So start by thinking, okay, that other event is over. Start from 0 and think about this. A new deadly outbreak has started. How big? Not very big. Do not become emotionally and mentally unconcerned because, it's that old swine flu again, because it's not the old swine flu again. In the meantime, let me give you some examples. In the meantime, not only has it showed up next door, but we do have very good scientific evidence that in each death where there was 225G and 225N markers on that it changed on that same spot, it's been deadly every time. In the meantime, the sequences have appeared. This is 225G. They've just appeared just a couple of days ago in India. Now, Tobias, I don't know about you, but when I hear about an outbreak hitting India, what do you think? I mean, there's enough people there?
Well, yeah, just everybody has to consider the fact that the globe is well traversed now, airplanes traveling, and the number of people. This reminds me of something I believe you and I spoke of previously, and that was specifically how quickly something can spread if one person comes off an airplane into a city. Do you recall that?
Go ahead.
It was basically I remember an old television commercial. I don't know if everybody will recognize it, but it was basically you tell two friends and so on and so on and so on.
Right.
From memory, I believe the fact is that something like that can spread so quickly. If one person gets off the plane, goes to a restaurant, meets up with a friend, or say two friends, passes it on to them, I believe it's within 48 hours or so that 1 million people can be subjected to that virus.
Well, it kind of goes back to this network that they call on the internet where, you're only 6 degrees from somebody or 2 degrees,
Yes.
So,
Right.
Everybody's within contact of many people. The one thing that I will mention, too, is that these sequences, not only have they appeared in India, now they're in Japan. And they're going to be watched very closely. And so you might ask, okay, so these people in Ukraine got this, and oh gosh, now it's in Romania. Well, let me tell you the story. In Romania, there was a whole family that had H1 and had gotten sick. Some had gotten sick, some had not. Guess what? One of them that didn't appear to be sick, well, let me tell you this. A fiance of one of the family members went to the hospital along with the other family members, and this fella, his lungs were in bad shape when he got there, and he died. And the rest of the family members didn't have the death. They had H1N1, but they didn't have this sequence. Well, he had that change at the 225 site. Well, the mother wasn't sick, or she didn't even go to the hospital. Well, guess what, though? She didn't know it, and she had that change at 225, and she's dead now. So, we're not going to see detectors in airports going, oh, gosh, we've got us a terrorist on the way in. They're going to just walk right on through, right? They're going to go past the new scanners coming. They're going to go past all the detectors. And no, doctor, they're going to be putting in these scanners that tell whether or not your temperature's up. Well, I just said this one lady had no symptoms of that change at 225, and she's dead now. Well, that means she didn't have a temperature. She could get past detectors in the airport. We are very cosmopolitan, aren't we? We are very mobile in the world. So we don't know why they have them in India or Japan. The point is that they're showing up. Now, by the way, this is being called a Holland flu. That's kind of strange. Well, it's because that's where this domain change first became noted. So anyway, that is kind of my update on H1N1. It's where we're beginning to understand that maybe this event that has occurred in the Ukraine is the real concern. And I pray, and I hope we all pray, that this comes to an end, that this just, does not become rampant. If this change begins to be passed on, we've got our hands full. And here's what I would like to say, by the way. It's 100% fatal because existing broken Western medicine doesn't have an answer. And I would be fairly confident, uninformed, maybe ill-informed because I haven't tested it against this, my model that I use against this, although I have used pleomorphic remedies against other similar viruses that have been plaguing mankind. Not this one, but plagued mankind. And guess what? If you understand how a virus can mutate and you give it an opportunity to downgrade away from being pathogenic or diseased, and you downgrade it and let it become back to its level we call non-pathogenic, then you'll live. The Western model says you've contacted this. The pleomorphic Eastern European biological model says no, it upgraded. In other words, you're giving the body the potential for it to come from protein molecules into a virus, and then it can mutate or change depending on its direction that it's been given. I think this was a mutation that had entered deliberately into the public at large. And I think there was some, maybe not necessarily this exact change occurred from somebody planting it, but I think they realized this was going to be the result of that, whatever it was they planted. And now the genie's out of the bottle, and it's the